Welcome back to the ready state. So we've been talking about the three reasons we typically mobilize. One, to improve position when I have an incomplete position. Two, maybe to desensitize the painful area. And three, maybe to reduce the session cost or enhance my recovery, right? To reduce sort of the cost and the training session cost and to see if I can be less sore, decrease DOMs, sort of get a little bit more secret work in, right? So when we're thinking about this, what we're thinking about is how do I mobilize again to increase my adaptation response? So if we break that down a little bit, the reason we exercise, remember, is to disrupt homeostasis, right? To cause a stimulus for the body where the body then adapts to that through some physiologic process called healing or adaptation or response, right? That specific adaptation response to the training stimulus. And the goal is to disrupt stimulus enough where I'm not crippled, I'm not sore, I'm not sort of brutally destroyed where I can continue to work. And that's why every measurement tool, strain tool, heart rate variability is all about being able to understand adaptation and response adaptation. So why do we do pull-ups? So that we can be weaker at pull-ups on the next pull-up? No, we know that we're gonna do some pull-ups and then the body's gonna recover from that stimulus and we're gonna be a little bit better. So when we're mobilizing for adaptation, a lot of times it's really about, specifically we need to think about when are we doing this? And sometimes one of the things that we're coming to understand from research that we're understanding about the research is that right after exercise, particularly sort of muscular contraction exercise, for lack of a better phrase, one of the things that happens first is the body rebuilds its sort of collagen scaffolding first. It creates a little bit more robust superstructure before it starts changing musculature mechanics. And that makes sense, actually, if you kind of think about it logically, that the body's like, oh, before we just build a bigger engine, let's make sure we have the frame to support that engine. And one of the things that sort of we've stitched together is that one of our favorite PhD anatomists is a guy named Gil Hedley. And he has a famous video called The Fuzz. And what ends up happening then is it's not an accident that we see animals stretch when they get up or the sun salutation, but restoring and managing how the sliding surfaces, which is his phrase, looking at how all these systems are supposed to slide. And one of the things that happens is after intense exercise, oftentimes we just see stiffness beget. And whatever the mechanism is in the fascia systems, however you want to talk about it, it's just you are stiff. The tissues don't slide and glide over each other as effectively. So sometimes soft tissue work, rolling, heat, movement, all of that is just about restoring or managing how that happens. Even just desensitizing the tissues to sort of the normal and typical responses to exercise. So, for example, we'll have people come into our clinic or even to our gym, even in our courses, brutally stiff, sore quads after some kind of strength exercise. And they're like, don't touch my quads. And if you just shake their quads a whole bunch and restore and we'll just call it shaking. So like your ski coach used to shake your legs and then we're like squat again. And they often report massive decreases in their symptoms, AKA their perception of pain, simply because there's been some input to the body. So one of the things that happens is we find that if we're mobilizing for adaptation, then it looks predominantly soft tissue. We're working on musculature, we're working on breaking high tone, we're trying to improve local circulation. We're even just restoring how the tissues are sliding over one another. And that's really the best work for some of the soft tissue, we'll call it foam rolling, self-mobilization, myofascial mobilization techniques that everyone is so comfortable with. And we like to put that in before we go to bed. So we don't necessarily believe that all of that soft tissue work is necessarily the best way to get prepared for a fight or prepared for high level exercise. Again, maybe if I have a painful area or can't achieve a position, that makes sense. But if you shift your bulk of, hey, I've trained really hard, I haven't been able to move a ton afterwards, I can do some focused soft tissue mobilization in the last 10 minutes before you go to the bed. We find that to be a really excellent time to work on that. Additionally, there's a 2-for-1 here because sometimes we're not just talking about tissue quality, but also input to the body. And one of the things that we know is that if you do a little soft tissue work, that has a powerful downregulation response to your system. So you might feel sleepy after doing rolling. And our clinical experience, and when we measure it, is that people who mobilize before they go to bed tend to have decrease sleep latency, so they go to sleep faster and they sleep a little bit better. And that's observable, measurable, and repeatable, which is the name of the game. So one of the things we're saying is, hey, I've just trained, nothing hurts. I got my full positions, but I've trained really hard. A little focused soft tissue work, soft tissue mobilization before you go to the bedroom is a great time to work that in and sort of complete and enhance that adaptation response to the exercise that you just did. See you guys tomorrow.